The Warsaw Uprising was a major act of resistance by the Polish underground Home Army, Armia Krajowa, against the Nazi occupation of Poland during World War II. Context: occurring from August 1 to October 2, 1944, the uprising was a desperate attempt by the Poles to liberate Warsaw from German control before the arrival of Soviet forces. Preparations and planning. Underground resistance. The Polish Home Army had been preparing for an uprising since the German occupation of Poland in 1939, organizing underground cells and stockpiling weapons. Operation Tempest. The Warsaw Uprising was part of a larger nationwide operation known as Operation Tempest, which aimed to liberate Polish territories from Nazi control as Allied forces advanced from the west and the Red Army approached from the east. Commencement of the uprising. August 1, 1944. The Warsaw Uprising began with a coordinated assault by Polish resistance fighters on German positions throughout the city. Strategic objectives. The primary objectives of the uprising were to seize key infrastructure, including bridges, railway stations, and government buildings, and to establish control over strategic areas of the city. Challenges and resistance. German response. The Germans, under the command of SS General Erich von dem Bach-Zilewski, responded brutally to the uprising, deploying elite SS and Wehrmacht units to crush the resistance. Street fighting. The fighting in Warsaw was intense and brutal, with both sides engaging in close-quarters combat as the Polish resistance fighters defended their positions against overwhelming German firepower. Civilian involvement and suffering. Civilian participation. The Warsaw Uprising was unique in its widespread civilian participation, with men, women, and children joining the fight against the Nazi occupiers. Humanitarian crisis. The uprising quickly devolved into a humanitarian crisis, with thousands of civilians trapped in the crossfire and facing starvation, disease, and relentless German bombardment. Soviet inaction and betrayal. Soviet advance. Despite promises of support, the advancing Soviet forces stopped short of aiding the Polish insurgents, choosing instead to observe the destruction of Warsaw from across the Vistula River. Political motivations. The Soviet decision not to support the Warsaw Uprising has been attributed to political calculations, including the desire to weaken the Polish Home Army and assert control over post-war Poland. End of the uprising and aftermath. Surrender. After 63 days of fierce fighting and mounting casualties, the Polish resistance was forced to surrender to the Germans on October 2, 1944. Destruction of Warsaw. The aftermath of the Warsaw Uprising was catastrophic, with large parts of the city reduced to rubble and an estimated 200,000 civilians killed. Legacy and remembrance. Symbol of resistance. The Warsaw Uprising remains a symbol of Polish resistance and defiance against Nazi oppression, commemorated annually in Poland and remembered as a tragic chapter in the nation's history. Historical significance. The legacy of the Warsaw Uprising continues to be debated and analyzed by historians, reflecting broader questions about resistance, collaboration, and the complexities of wartime politics.